Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
We don't even know if this is anything.
Well, no, we don't.
And I haven't had a day off for a while.
True.
And a cranky slayer is a careless slayer.
Buffy, maintaining a normal social life as a slayer, it's problematic at best.
This is the 90s, the 1990s in point of fact, and I can do both. Clark Kent has a job. I just want to go on a date.
Well, I suppose it was a fairly slim lead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And look, I won't go far, okay? If the apocalypse comes, beat me.
Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We're two boys watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and reviewing every episode, going through them. We've never watched this show before, so keep that in mind as we continue. We are your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
And today we're talking about the 5th episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is titled Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. It was directed by David Semmel and written by Rob Des Hotel and Dean Batali. The original air date was March 31st, 1997 to an audience of 4.09 million people. And this is a fun one. This is what you expect.
Yeah, I think they hit their stride here, and it seems like they doubled their numbers on this episode.
Yeah, the last episode was like around 3 million.
Yeah. Or
this
like,
one bumped it up another million.
Yeah.
But this is all camp, I feel.
It's perfectly delightful and camp. It's like, it's not bad, it's just campy. And it's fun, campy. They know they're in on the joke a lot of the times. Yeah. There are some lines, though, that we'll have to bring up. There's some dialogue choices that are just like... You get the feeling that this was written by adults pretending to be teenagers.
Absolutely. Like, not even just adults pretending to be teenagers, but like late, like midlife crisis adults pretending to be teenagers. Like, I heard my daughter say this one time.
Or I think I would say this if I was 40 and my daughter wasn't, and I was in high school. Like, there's some lines, man. But
well, I will say it's a good return to form in terms of we're back to the vampires.
Mm-hmm. We're back to the master doing his thing in his weird bubble that only he can escape from.
Yeah, we got some answers about that, I think.
Well, yeah, sure.
There was some explanation because, I was always like, why can't he just leave? And now we find out he's trapped in a mystical prison.
But we knew that in the second episode.
See, I didn't know
that. When he kept touching the wavy wall thing and he couldn't get out.
I thought that was him getting hit, power transferred to him.
No, that's the bubble of like he's in his dome and he can't leave.
Okay, well, I must have not been paying attention at all.
I don't know how you can't keep up with Buffy. I know it's heavy lifting. A lot of Emily Dickinson references.
Oh boy, shall we get into it?
Yeah.
All right, so this is the first episode where we didn't have that intro where it's like, every once in a generation, there's a Slayer.
I was surprised. We just got right into some action.
Yeah, got into Buffy kicking some vampire ass. Mm-hmm. Kills the vampire, tries to have a quip at the end, and he just kills him. And then Giles pops out from behind a grave, and he's like, that was a good kill, but you could be doing better. You're wasting a lot of energy and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, can't you just be happy for me?
I didn't realize that was part of Giles's job description to, he's not even training her. He's just critiquing her.
Yeah. Just like a nagging fucking.
Yeah, he's like, you just need to kill faster. Let's go.
Yeah. Why are you doing this like that? Do it more like this. Like, then you fucking kill him, Giles. Yeah. But while they're doing that, the master is talking about how he needs to find an anointed one. And he's talking to 3 vampires.
Yeah,
about this.
We basically get the vampire gospel and the prophecy of the coming of Jesus, basically.
Yeah.
He's got like his own Bible. I guess Giles finds like a ring after she kills the vampire, which I mean, hard to spot at
very
night
hard
in a graveyard. But
at night in grass.
Yeah.
He's just like, what's this? And he picks it up.
Yeah.
Buffy's like, I don't know. You think it's something? And he's like, it has to be something.
She's like,
Everything is something in this universe.
Yeah.
Then the Master's talking about the Anointed One. And then we get the intro song. And then we cut back to Giles researching the ring. And some random motherfucker named Owen shows up, who we've never seen before.
Wait, but while she's reviewing, while they're looking at the ring, she looks at it and notices like this symbol that he hasn't noticed on a ring.
Yeah.
What has he been doing?
Yeah,
it's a ring. It is a ring. It is a finite amount of space.
Yeah.
You can't figure out.
And she notices the symbol, and then she's like, you think this symbol means that something? And then Giles is like, got a book in his hand, so he hands it to Buffy to look at the ring.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. I don't think it means anything. And Buffy's like, it does mean something. It's literally on this page right here.
Yeah, I was like, what is this point? Like, that's Giles's role.
Yeah. I don't know.
What has he been looking at? It's a ring with a symbol, and he has a book with the symbol in it.
It's one of those things where like Giles is probably just like looking at the book and like he's reading the words, but nothing's happening in his head. He's probably fucking wasted.
I think Giles might have a drinking problem. He looked hungover in a later scene when she comes into the office, and he's just like, oh. And she's like, I don't think you've been up all night reading. I think you've been boozing, Giles.
He's an Englishman. You know, he hasn't been having tea. He's been drinking some of that whiskey, probably. But yeah, then some rando shows up named Owen, and Buffy goes, Owen, hi, as if we have any idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
I legitimately, like, she started talking to Owen, and I paused the episode and made sure that we didn't miss an episode, because I was like, she's talking to this guy like he's been around for a bit and we have heard of him.
Yeah, but, I mean, she's been in school for 2 years now, probably, according to the timeline. So,
but so Owen shows up. Buffy apparently has some kind of like crush on him, and he is talking about how he's like, I lost my Emily Dickinson, of course. I don't feel comfortable leaving home without her. It's like my security blanket.
It was just like not how you would ever say. You would never say, I lost my Emily.
Yeah.
2 minute pause. Dickinson.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the setup of that.
I think even Giles looks at him like, you're a fucking nerd, dude.
Yeah. Like, I read to stop vampires. I don't read like I'm not reading Emily Dickinson just because it makes me angsty or brooding. Yeah, and then Buffy's like, oh, I have something like that too, a blanket, but I don't use it anymore.
Yeah. And then Owen kind of throws some shade at her, like, I'm surprised to see you in here. She's like, why? And she's like, you don't seem like the type that likes books and reading.
I think you can read, which was the weirdest line. I don't think you're literate. Just I don't think you read books.
And then so he gets his Emily, and Rupert Giles throws some shade at Emily Dickinson. He's like, she's a pretty good poet and then Buffy's like, for a woman, and he's like, no, for an American. It's like oh,
I kind of like that. So it wasn't like a sexist thing. It was more of a continental thing.
Yeah, I liked it too. A nice little reversal. And then so Owen leaves. Buffy's staring longingly at him, and she's like, Giles, you gotta get me all the Emily Dickinson books I can find. And he's like, oh, you're interested in reading now? This is a cold day in hell or some shit. And then she's like, does my dress make me look fat?
And I was like, why? Why did they do that?
That was awful.
Yeah.
That was the worst. They could have just cut the scene without that line. It would have been fine.
Yeah. And she's like looking up at him. And it's just like,
Yeah. So nasty. What? You know, she doesn't have a father in her life. You know, maybe Giles is a father figure.
It's very 90s. Does this blank make me look fat? Like, you can insert that into any sitcom or any bad stand-ups routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then Buffy's talking to Willow about Owen. She's like, I talked to Owen, and Willow's like, oh my God, you talked to Owen? He's like the coolest guy, and he doesn't talk to anybody. He must like you. And then they go sit down with Xander, and Xander's like, who the fuck is this Owen guy?
I haven't noticed like the other handsome tall guy in school.
Right?
Like the guy,
the other guy that looks 35 years old in the school.
Like, you know, Xander's so emasculated that I feel like he would have pinpointed every single
potential
rival.
Yeah. But Owen is sitting alone. This handsome, apparently super handsome, brooding, mysterious guy he's sitting alone at a lunch table, and then Buffy's like, oh, he's sitting alone. Maybe somebody should go sit with him. And then Willow's like, maybe somebody should. And I was like, is Willow going?
I was really hoping Xander got up and went over there. I really thought that was going to be the move.
That would have been the move.
That's the ultimate cock block. You
Totally
throw your cock in the way. Yeah. Like, I really thought he was going to get up because it was leading to that. They kept asking, someone should go. Someone should go. We're like, well, are we going to have a joke here? Or is she actually just going to get up and go?
Xander's like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah. I would have loved that, actually.
That would have been so much funnier than what actually happens, which is Buffy gets up and she's like, I'm going to go sit with him then. She starts walking over to him, and then out of nowhere, Cordelia bumps into Buffy and spills her tray of stuff, and she's like, oops, didn't see you there. And then she sits down and she's like, Owen, is anybody sitting here? And all of a sudden, Cordelia is interested in Owen, and Buffy throws some shade at how fat Cordelia must be because
her big. I didn't realize her hips were so wide.
Yeah, and then Cordelia's flirting with Owen. She's like, "You want to go to the Bronze tonight?" And he's like, "I don't know, Buffy. Are you going?" And Buffy's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." And Cordelia's like, "Why do you give a fuck about if Buffy's going? I'm gonna be there."
Yeah, Cordelia's like, he like, "You want to go to the Bronze?" He's like, "Who's gonna be there?" She's like, "I'll be there. Who else?" And she's like, she is so hurt by that line, and I loved it because he delivered it with no malice, no spite. It was just like a general question, like who else is gonna be there?
Yeah.
And my God, the Bronze is just making bank off these kids. It is open every night of the week and packed. Like it is packed.
I mean, it's a one Starbucks town, Vance. There's not a lot else to do.
Like I went out in high school, but it was always weekends.
Yeah. Because you had shit to do.
Yeah, and
you weren't slaying vampires.
Yeah, I wasn't going on date/vampire slaying.
Yeah. So Buffy's kind of like, ooh, isn't this nice? He wants to come hang out with me. So then Giles warns Buffy after reading a little bit more up on this ring, and he's like, hey, this shit's about some kind of Anointed One guy, and if my calculations are correct, the Anointed One is supposed to show up tonight. And she's like, you can't be tonight, I have a date. And he's like, are you fucking serious?
She's like, boys, prepubescent fantasies. Like, those lines were just like, what teenagers talking? Like, when teenagers, like, reference themselves as being teenagers.
Right?
Like, I'm 5 years old. I'm supposed to have fun. Like, that's such weird dialogue for stuff.
I'm still a teenager. Yeah. I need to have a social life. He's like, there are literal vampires underneath this school. There's been multiple dead bodies in the school. And you're like, when I want to go on a date.
You just killed one last night.
Yeah. What if Giles just like slapped her once? It was just like, shut the fuck up.
That's not his style. He gives a long lecture and speech while she's like mopey. That's
some sarcastic, sardonic, just condescending lecture.
Yeah. If he takes his glasses off, he means business.
Yeah. So he's like, I forbid you to go on this date. We need this stakeout at the graveyard. And then we cut to them chilling at the graveyard and nothing's happening.
I didn't understand why they went straight to the graveyard. Like,
yeah.
Did he just think someone was going to rise from the dead?
Yeah, I mean, vampires are showing up all over this town. They showed up to the Bronze even, which is where Buffy was supposed to be going.
Just go to the Bronze. She needs to be at the Bronze every night.
Yeah.
That is ground zero for vampire attacks.
She should just be the bouncer at the Bronze.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You remember in the first episode, he was like, hey, you should be able to spot vampires.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to spot them. She just judged someone because of their clothes.
Yeah.
Like, is that ever going to come back? Is she ever going to have, like, vampire vision?
Well, I feel like every time since we've seen vampires, they're not shapeshifters. They just have the gigantic, ugly faces with the fangs out.
The one at the end of this episode seems like a shapeshifter.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. So, yeah, they're camping out at the graveyard, and then nothing's happening. And Buffy is like, are we done? Can I go to the Bronze now? And Giles is just like, yeah, I guess nothing's happening. Go on. I'll see you later. So then she goes to the Bronze.
It's so funny that she's sitting there with that, like, soda.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
just trust. And they're just waiting, like, with no weapons and no plan. Like, it's just like, hey, something's going to come and we need you to punch it to death.
Yeah.
And she just, and I don't know if you're thinking like I'm thinking, but if I'm Giles, I'm walking with her out of the cemetery.
Yeah,
like,
dude, me too.
Buffy, you're walking me home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a slayer, and I don't want to get killed on my walk home from this cemetery.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you've been doing all this research and stuff about like, oh, this Anointed One guy, he means serious business. And then he's like, all right, go to the Bronze. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. Just go their separate ways. Yeah. At least walk me to my car.
Like, at what time do you think night is over? like, oh, they said it would come by 8:00, so the Anointed One isn't here. Prophecy's wrong. Go have fun. Like, yeah. What?
So silly. So then Buffy goes to the Bronze and she's looking around looking for Owen, and this is like a very intensely long search. I felt like way longer than necessary. So she's looking for Owen, and then wham bam, thank you ma'am, Owen is dancing with Cordelia. Buffy was too late to her date, her plans with Owen, and Cordelia swooped in and fucking stole the hottie from Buffy.
Yeah, I mean, Cordelia just discovered this guy this week in school.
Yep.
And she's going after him.
Yeah, and this guy's not that hot. If I'm going to be vain for a second, that guy is not good looking.
He's fine.
I think he's very average.
Yeah, he's fine.
Buffy.
High school's different. It's like he's got the brooding, mysterious factor going for him.
I know. I feel like Buffy and Cordelia can do better. Vance, on a hotness scale, you're just looking at these two people. Do you think Xander's hotter than Owen?
Do I think Xander's hotter than Owen? No, I'll give it to Owen. I'll give Owen the edge. I'll give Owen the edge. Yeah.
I give the edge to Xander.
Because Xander has a little more of a cartoony look. He has a little more comedic look than because later in this episode, Angel and Owen are like clones. Honestly, when they're next to each other, it's like they don't look exactly alike, but they're like the same height and build. Like,
I don't think they look anything alike.
I was like, these are like, it's like they are that type of character, like that you would cast as like.
No,
they don't have the same facial structure, but they're the same type of like they just stand and brood. This is brooding. It's brooding. That's all they do.
I didn't take Owen as brooding. I took him as like antisocial, awkward. Like I took him as like not knowing like how to talk to women, so he doesn't talk. Whereas Xander is not knowing how to talk to women, but he talks too much.
Well, when we get to the scene with Angel, Angel also has a little jealousy, and he has the exact same like face, and he starts to he drops his like mysterious facade to like
he shows up to deliver some cryptic stuff, and then he's like, wait, who's that guy?
you're on a date, mopey face. Like, yeah, so I don't know.
Oh man, we're getting way ahead. But anyway, so we cut to like a bus that's driving through town, and there's some kind of like crazy guy on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, talking about the Bible, it seems like, and everybody's looking at him like, dude, what are you talking about? And then a vampire jumps in front of the bus, and then the bus crashes, and then the bus driver's like, is everybody okay? Goes to check on the vampire. Vampire eats him. And that's pretty much, yeah.
Dude, these vampires have like some really interesting powers where these two random vampires we just met, if they kill 5 people, they bring forth the Anointed One.
Yeah.
And like the pilot was, or the first 2 episodes were basically, hey, if you start drinking, I put this mark on your forehead. So when you drink people, it's like I'm drinking them and I can get power and get out of here. It's like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it works?
There's a lot of vampire loopholes here, Vance.
Yeah. And I'll say this. If I was one of those vampires, I would never go back to the master's little dungeon.
Right?
All he does is threaten to kill you. Says, if I don't kill you, let yourself get killed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, no, you can't get out of this thing? Is that what you just said? You can't get out.
You can't leave.
Cool. All right.
You need my help, motherfucker.
Yeah, so I'm going to
leave.
Be
nice to me.
So I'm going to leave. Because I can. And I'm never coming back. Maybe I'll actually leave this town, too. Because I'm a vampire, and it's the one place there's a slayer.
I mean, I feel like the claw guy had it right. Like, he didn't seem like he was serving the master. He was just doing his own thing.
Yeah. I forget his backstory of how his hand got cut off, but yeah.
Yeah. So the next day, Buffy is at school, and she's freaking out about Owen. She's like, I blew it with him last night. It was too late. I was out scouting for vampires, and then he was dancing with Cordelia. This is the worst. And she's saying all of this to Xander, who is helplessly in love with her. And he's like, oh, you know what? You might be better off going out with a guy that, is like me, basically.
That knows your nightly activities.
Yeah, and is cool with it and still thinks you're hot. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know anybody like that. So as she's complaining about blowing it with Owen shows up, and he's like, hey, what happened? Where were you last night? I was waiting for you. And she was like, oh, were you? Because I heard through the grapevine that you were dancing with Cordelia. And he was like, oh, yeah, I don't like her. She's too handsy for me. But like, where were you? And she made up some lie about like her watch broke and she doesn't have any clocks in her house. So she didn't know what time it was. So she just stayed home.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I didn't even know what day it was. She has the worst excuses for someone who lives a secretive life.
Especially Xander gave her a great excuse.
Yeah.
Like 2 seconds earlier.
Car broke down or something.
Yeah. He was like, just say you got a flat tire.
Yeah.
And then, like, why? I thought that she was going to use that, and then Xander was going to be like, oh, you use my excuse for this bullshit? But no, she makes up a lie about not knowing what time it was or day.
Which leads to this great exchange where he's like, oh, how about we go out tonight, and I'll pick you up, and and you can even use my watch. And he hands her a gold pocket watch. Yeah. That no teenager has ever carried in their life.
Unless it's like their dead grandfather's pocket watch that they left him and they wouldn't give it to some lady.
Yeah. And then they cut to Xander's watch, and it's a Tweety Bird watch.
Yeah, which is another watch that no teenager would have.
I don't know. Teenagers would probably have that. I could see a teenager having that.
Having that Looney Tunes?
Maybe middle
fucking
school.
Tweety
Maybe
Bird?
middle school, but for the comedic effect, it was really funny.
It was a good
Yeah.
juxtaposition scene.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're supposed to be 16.
The pocket watch and the Tweety Bird, it's like old man, young kid. Like,
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Unbelievable. And then so they plan a date in front of Xander, and then Xander, they walk off, and Xander has his own little, great, it's like I'm not even here kind of moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is what's happening. Then we see the master in the mystical prison just blabbing on about, hey, find me the Anointed One.
Yeah.
So then
this is when Giles looks hungover because Buffy comes in and she's like, "Hey, nothing to report. No problems. Okay, I gotta go." And she's wearing like this half crop top thing, like it's just barely. You just barely see belly,
Mm-hmm.
And she's just at the doorway, and he looks hungover. He looks like he tied one on last night. He's like, "Oh, good." And I'm just
Yeah, then she's like, all right, there's nothing going on. Okay, bye. See you. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bye.
because we know he's not reading if he couldn't see two things from a ring.
So yeah, then he just kind of looks like, oh, what am I going to do with this girl?
Mm-hmm.
Then Xander and Willow are helping Buffy get dressed for her date. Willow's like, hey, should you wear this or that? And then Xander's like, I don't think either of those are good for you. You should wear this. And he gets a long ass parka and a ski mask. And he's like, that's what he would like.
This scene has another one of those lines where Buffy goes, where do young kids go on dates these days?
Right.
And I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, you are a young kid.
And then Willow's like, well, I've heard teens are going to movies and stuff. And I was just like, are they in on it? Like, is that just how are they joking? Like,
yeah,
I guess.
Willow has been to the Bronze. Willow was about to go on a date with a vampire to an ice cream place.
Yeah.
And she's like, I saw a story on the news that kids go to parties. It's like, what is wrong with this?
I'm like, are they joking and making fun of adults making fun of teens, or are they literally asking these questions?
I have no idea. But
and of course we know where the date's gonna be.
It's the Bronze.
They go to the Bronze. 2 nights in a row. The place is packed.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna think that Owen is like a lady killer because he was dancing with Cordelia, now he's dancing with Buffy.
Wow. For a guy that doesn't go out much,
I have to say, between all the outfits Buffy had to choose from, she picked the worst one.
Oh, I can't even remember what she picked.
There was one where it was like flowery and pink, and she was like, this is my soft and coy side. Then there was one that was like lime green and neon blue with flowers on it. And she was like, this is my like loud and audacious side. And then there's the parka with the ski mask. And what she chose is like this puke booger green glittery dress with a pink like overcoat.
Oh yeah,
it was so nasty.
It was I remember because there's a wide shot in the place when she's on the date, and it's just like it doesn't have any shape to it.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Was she wearing like boots too?
Yeah, she was wearing like
I think when she has the jacket,
boots.
When she has the jacket over it, it kind of works. But without the jacket, it seemed like it didn't.
She looked like a character from Austin Powers without the jacket. Like it was
it was very 70s-ish.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, man. So then she's like, all right, I'm going to choose this. And then Xander's like, don't worry, I won't watch you. And then he's like looking at her through the mirror changing, and what a creep. And then so she's about to go out on the date. Giles shows up and he's like, Buffy, my calculations weren't wrong. Look at the newspaper. 5 people died. this is the Anointed One thing. And then Owen shows up immediately after and he's like, what's the librarian doing here? What are Xander and Willow doing here? And they're like, oh, you're really overdue with your late fees and your books. And then Owen's like, man, you really take your job seriously.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah, that was my favorite line in the episode, I think. It's like, man, you take your job seriously. Yeah. So then Buffy's kind of like, this isn't really like, doesn't mean that you're right. Just because 5 people died.
In this small town.
And
you predicted 5 deaths.
Doesn't mean that this is the Anointed One thing that you were talking about. I got a date to go on. And meanwhile, they Willow and Xander usher Owen into the other room to like give him like a talking to before the date. And Xander's just like the most insecure person ever. He's like, Buffy hates being touched. She doesn't like being kissed. You know what? Don't even look at her the whole time you're on the date. And so then Buffy somehow convinces Giles that his prediction was wrong and he's full of shit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, I guess you can go on your date. I'll just look into it myself with my non-super powers.
Yeah. With my only cross that I bring to defend myself.
I guess he has a stake too, but I guess he's afraid to use it.
Yeah.
Anybody can kill vampires.
Yeah, right?
It's like she's strong and can punch, I guess.
I mean, unless there's more than one of them. Like if there's just one of them, all you need is a cross and a stake.
Yeah.
You fucking show the cross, stab with the stake.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I guess if there's more than one, then you're kind of fucked, maybe.
Swarmed. Yeah.
Yeah, they can gang up on you. But that's just like a regular fight.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You don't need to be a vampire to gang up on people.
Yeah. So Xander and Buffy and Owen go to the Bronze, and they're bonding over how much Owen hates women.
Yeah. He's still talking about Emily Dickinson.
Yeah.
And just he goes on to say something about like there's more important things in dating. Like I don't go out much with a lot of girls because I find them it's a lot of frivolousness.
Yeah.
And they only care about dating. And I'm like, you just asked this girl out on 2 dates.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what do you know about Buffy that we don't know that makes you think that she's different?
I mean, she said that she's into Emily Dickinson, and she's shown little to no knowledge about her.
Yeah.
So he knows that she's a super fan.
She absolutely didn't go back home that night and read that book.
Absolutely not. So then Buffy is like, you know what? Fuck all this Emily Dickinson talk and how much you think women are frivolous and dating is awful. Let's dance. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And so they start dancing, and then Cordelia busts in to the Bronze with just the most awful hair. Just
you are such a catty little girl.
Dude. She's got like not even 90s, like 1980s, like crimped hair. Like she looks like she's in a hair metal band. And she's like, what the fuck is this about? Owen and Buffy are here? He was just dancing with me last night. There should be laws against this.
Yeah, see, you were focused on her hair. I was focused on her friends that don't get one single line.
Yeah, her cronies.
Her cronies that just stand there and go, Like, that's the most thing they get to do. Like, can I respond to her? She's been talking for like 5 minutes. Nope.
No, and if they do get half a line, Cordelia just immediately shuts them down. Like, I was fucking talking.
Yeah.
Oh man, what you talk about thankless jobs?
Yeah,
that's the
thankless role. the girl standing behind the bitchy girl from high school.
Yeah. So Cordelia goes to break up Buffy and Owen's date, and she's like, Owen, I'm here. You want to dance with me? And he's like, no, I'm here with Buffy. And she's like, yeah, but you could be here with me. And he's like, yeah, but I'm here with Buffy. And she's like, this is unfucking believable. And then Buffy's like, skedaddle.
Yeah.
And then so she skedaddles and she's like standing near the entrance. Oh, wait, no.
Wait,
No.
I want to say, like, when Owen first starts to dance, it is clear he's a terrible dancer.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing about this guy that's suave. I don't know how you think he's hotter than Xander.
He's not suave. I think, like, I honestly was not watching this thinking about his attractiveness level or anything. I just, like, put it behind me. So I wasn't like, oh, yeah, Buffy. I'm like, Buffy's falling for a random new character for this episode.
Yeah.
And he's just not Xander.
He has no charisma.
That is the thing that he's really, really lacking. He has no personality. There's no reason for her to like him after what we've seen. You know?
Yeah.
Before it's like, oh, he's mysterious. I want to get to know him, go on a date. Once he starts talking, you're like, this guy.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's got nothing.
He's not fun. He's not funny. Like, he's just like a dolt.
You know what I would have liked? I would have liked Cordelia to go after him after he was with Buffy. Not before. Not when they meet at the table, you know? I want Cordelia to be like, why is he going after Buffy? And her being like, well, you know what? I'm going to just take him from him. Just like as a challenge kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, she actually did like this person.
Yeah, or she like goes after him and then once he's like, okay, I'm into you, she's like, you know what? Now I'm bored.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's doing it in spite of Buffy, not just because he's the hot guy in school.
But I just think that he's like a blank.
He is a blank canvas.
Milk toast nothing.
He's, you know, they did. It's interesting. He's the like reverse version of like a Willow type character, where it's like, oh, I read Emily Dickinson and I do this to make myself seem important because I have no personality of my own. Like that is it. His personality is I read these Emily Dickinson books and like hate high school normalness.
Yeah, I'm too fucking deep for this.
So you want to go to the Bronx?
Yeah, right. The fucking haven for all the worst people.
Hey, we can go anywhere tonight. Where do you want to go? Oh, where all of our high schoolers go to? Yeah.
Hey, you want to go? You know that place where there were onstage murders happening? That seems like a romantic date spot.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that bouncer we liked?
Yeah. Remember last week how there were onstage murders at this place? Let's go there.
They keep booking bands, man. They keep booking bands.
Yeah, that's true. The show must go on.
Yeah.
So then they're dancing and blah, blah, blah. But then we cut to Giles doing some investigating himself at the graveyard, and he runs into vampires and locks himself in a room, and he's like in peril. Then we cut back to Cordelia, who's standing by the entrance now, and she's like mean mugging Buffy and Owen. She's like, what the fuck is happening? Why would anyone go for her? She's a skank. She's the worst. How can she just throw herself at some guy that she doesn't even know? Then Angel walks in and she's like, oh my God, I'm going to throw myself at this fucking guy. This guy is the hottest guy I've ever seen in my life.
Call 911 because I'm going to take his breath away. It's just so much.
Yeah.
It's just so much. And you're like, her friends, what are you doing?
Right. Her friends should just be like, what are you talking about?
And she didn't even get a good look at Angel. She just saw the back of him.
Exactly. She didn't see his face at all.
It's so funny. And I love that Angel knows how to find them. But there's a line. There's a line that Buffy says while she's dancing with Owen that I forget if it's here or it might be like right before this. He's been talking about how like, hey, you're like two different people, you know? Like, I don't understand. And then later she says while they're dancing, I feel like a girl right now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that, I get it because I've been watching the episode. What does he think that means?
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
You're dancing with someone and they just say, I feel like a girl right now. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I won't to think more about that. That's just a weird line to say to someone.
Yeah, Owen's just thinking with his dick right now, Vance. He doesn't give a shit.
He's
she
like,
said anything.
I don't think he is.
Well, I just know that he was like, he having fun, and that's when she's like, yeah, I am. I feel like a girl.
which is so weird.
Yeah. I just don't know. So, yeah, then Angel shows up and he sees Buffy, and Buffy's like, oh, Angel. Hello.
Yeah, Buffy went straight into infatuation mode when she saw Angel.
Yeah,
which
right?
I was like, wait, you just did that with Owen.
It's like she completely forgot about Owen for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Did she forget that Angel exists? I thought she would have been pining over him.
Right?
Apparently she's been pining over Owen for weeks now.
Yeah. So Angel shows up to tell her, like, hey, did you see 5 people died? And you should be out doing something because, you know, tonight's the night. And she's like, Angel, I can't because I'm on a date. And Angel's like, you're what? On a date? And then Owen walks over and he's like, hey, who's this fucking guy? And she's like, this is Angel. He's like, how do you guys know each other? Angel just mopily goes, from work.
Which is a real overstatement for they've never actually worked together.
Yeah,
you literally show up, say, hey, you know there's stuff going down. I don't know where. I don't know when. I don't know how to stop it. But I'm here
and I won't tell you anything aside from stuff's happening.
And I won't go with you to help you. Like, I won't do anything.
Well, he doesn't even say, he's like, stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
where are you getting your info from, buddy?
Right, dude? So, as Angel's looking at her like, oh, man, this stinks. She's here with another guy. Fucking Xander and Willow show up, and they're like, hey, you should be doing something else right now. And Angel's like, these guys get it. And then Owen's like, what are all of you guys doing here? And it's basically like Xander and Willow are like, we're here on a double date. And here's some more seeds Vance planted.
Well,
Xander and Willow.
They really could have played with this a lot in the episode. Because my prediction for this episode almost kind of came true. I was like, it's going to be her having to like kill vampires while being on a date. And like hiding it. And they kind of get there, but they don't really do any of the like fun stuff with it.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty on the mark with that prediction.
Yeah, I just wish like, oh, they were on a double date and like they had to like, if Willow and Xander pretended like they had to do something, or hey, Willow and Buffy are going to go to the bathroom. And then she has to like, I mean, it's too sitcom-y, but like something where they're trying to keep it a secret from them. Like, he sees vampires and still doesn't get it later because everyone's so dumb in this town.
Owen is a dope, dude.
He is. No, I'm not saying he's a winner.
So they're like, Xander and Willow show up and they're like, hey, you got to go to the graveyard funeral home, like, now. That'd be a good place to take a date, right? And
one that's in the dark, bleak stuff.
Yeah, and Buffy's like, I don't know about that. And Owen's like, fuck yeah, let's go.
You're like, oh man, this guy. Buffy, you don't want to be with this guy.
No, absolutely not. Especially after like what happens later and what he's saying later. But he fucking Buffy eventually is like, hey man, I gotta go. You remember what you were saying about how I'm 2 different people? It's like, you're right. But the one that's here right now with you, she's having a great time and she will come back. I promise you. And he's like, okay. And then she walks out of frame, then runs back into frame and kisses him right in front of Angel.
Yeah, Angel's standing back. Yeah.
He's standing back there and he's like, this bitch.
Well, Angel is like, what did you expect? You show up for 1 minute every 3 weeks.
Right?
Like, and then, I really wish Angel didn't have, and I know it's like a teen drama, so they have to do that like jealousy angle, but I wish he was more on the Giles' side of things, where Giles like it's more like, hey, we need you to do this. Like, you shouldn't be on a date right now because something's going down. Not like you shouldn't be on a date and I'm jealous of it. Yeah,
that's what I thought Angel's role in the show was.
And they don't play it up too much. They don't go too hard with the jealousy, but there's that look.
Yeah. And So yeah, then Buffy leaves and Owen is standing there with Angel and he's like, I just don't get that girl. And then Angel says something like, yeah, she is pretty complicated.
I don't think Angel says anything.
He doesn't?
No.
I could have swore he said something.
I don't think he says a line.
I think he said, look at the dumper on that one.
I don't think he said anything.
Yeah, okay. You might be right.
But it is interesting that they're just standing together. These like two like similar type, like they're not fully similar, but they're like the same height, build, and Buffy's still attracted to both of them. And they're just standing there.
I feel like Owen is actually tall, and I feel like Angel's standing on a box.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to look up David Boreanaz's height.
You're getting into your Xander insecurities right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
David Boreanaz. Oh, he's 6'1". Okay, he's pretty tall.
Yeah.
But Owen looks like he's like fucking, dude, he's 52 now. Wow. Owen looks like he's like 6'5", 6'6".
He's not 6'6". You're crazy.
He looks super fucking tall, dude.
That's because Buffy's like 5'2".
Are you serious? You think that's how tall Buffy is?
She's 5'4" max.
Unbelievable.
All right.
I don't believe it.
You just hijacked the podcast to do height measurements.
I did hijack the podcast to do height measurements, and now I need to see how tall this guy is.
And how tall is Buffy?
Christopher Whale is 6'2". Okay, so they are about the same height.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're like, they got clones.
Sarah Michelle Gellar height. This is great podcasting. She's 5'4".
Nailed it.
All right. Okay, Vance. Okay. I thought you said she was 5'2". Get the fuck out of here.
She's 5'4" max. I said she's 5'4" max.
Okay. Well, so yeah, Vance is right.
She's super short.
So anyway, back to the pod. So Buffy and crew go to the graveyard, funeral home. You know what? They don't have, like, they're in a graveyard.
Funeral homes aren't in graveyards.
They aren't in graveyards.
Not usually.
Yeah, they also have like a mausoleum and shit, and it's like a morgue as well, and crematoriums.
That funeral home seems like it was a lot of hallways in that place.
Yeah. So they go there, and Owen actually sneaks and followed Buffy and crew, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I wanted to come. What are we gonna do here? We gonna see a dead body? Let's see a dead body." I was like, "Holy shit, dude!"
No, I was like, "This guy's like when he was like funeral home. That's cool, not like that's creepy." And I was like, "Oh, that's why they did the Emily Dickinson stuff to show that he's like bleak." And I was like, dark. "Okay, yeah." I was like, "Fine."
Yeah, but then when he's like, "I just hope we see a dead body," I'm like, "Red flag, Buffy."
Flag on a play. Doesn't someone say that in this episode?
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. But that is red flag indeed. Yeah. So Giles is hiding from the vampires in one of those morgue refrigerator things with the dead body.
Where he doesn't take the cross with him.
Right.
So, like, they broke through. Those vampires are strong. They broke that metal bar outside the window to get in. And I guess they saw him there and didn't see him hop into the slide. Whatever. Who cares? Giles is
that survivor. Would be like a very safe hiding place because he could just be there. If he had the cross, just stick the cross at the front of it. Yeah. And they can't get in.
No.
Like, he's cornered himself, so he can't escape. But they can't get in.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and we forgot to mention that Buffy has a pager. That they never use. They introduce it and reference it, but they never page her.
They broke the laws of Chekhov's pager.
Chekhov's pager, yeah.
So, yeah. They.
In my note, I have Owen is weird.
I literally have that same note, dude. I literally have that same note. When Giles shows up at Buffy's house, I wrote, Owen shows up and it's weird. He is the weirdest, dude. So then Buffy locks Owen and Xander and Willow in an office, and she's like, barricade the door if you hear anything, because Owen still is in the dark about the vampires, and she's like, if you hear a security guard, just barricade the door. So when Buffy leaves, they immediately start barricading the doors. They barricade it with 2 chairs, and they start to put pillows on top of the chairs. And then Xander grabs a lampshade and uses that to... I'm like, this is so ridiculous.
We just saw these vampires can bend metal.
Yeah. So then while Xander and Willow are doing that, Owen walks over to a window and he unfurls the curtain and he goes, oh my. And you're like, oh my God, what's he looking at?
Yeah.
Buffy and Giles are still looking for the vampires. They can't find them.
It is ridiculous what they're doing. They're literally, I think they decided that one of the guys who died is probably the Anointed One. Because Giles is making lots of predictions.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like this. They're opening up all those like dead body drawers.
Dead body drawers.
I don't know. I don't even know what you call those things. What do you call them? I don't know.
I don't know. I've only seen them in morgue, so I just say like morgue stuff. But dead body drawers is hilarious.
Yeah, and they're opening those up, and they're like, and it's like nothing in any of them.
Yeah.
And then and they're just like, where could it be? They don't look anywhere else. They're just done.
They cut back to Owen, who has opened the curtain, and the dead body is in the room with Willow and Xander and Owen. And he's like, oh my God, this is crazy. I've never seen a dead body this close before. I've never seen a dead body. Is it supposed to move? And then so the body starts moving, and it is the crazy guy from the bus who has been turned into a vampire. And you're led to believe that this guy is the Anointed One because he's talking all these prophecies and all this bullshit.
Yes, my favorite line in this is when he breaks the glass and he starts chasing after him. He starts saying pork and beans.
Yeah.
Pork and beans. And I was just like, yeah, sure, why not?
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Why not? I don't know. I really don't. It was just so random.
So this guy's also shirtless, and he's pretty buff. He's chasing people around. Everybody's Scooby-Dooing. I don't understand.
He's not doing fast running. He really thinks he can just walk them down. Yeah,
and then they're Scooby-Dooing. Like, I don't understand the concept of this, like the layout of this funeral home, but it seems like there's all kinds of hallways and nobody is ever in the same place, or I don't know.
I'm telling you, this was a long audition for Scooby-Doo for Sarah Michelle Gellar. It was just like every episode has some tie-in.
So Owen and Willow and Xander try to escape, but vampires are blocking the exit. Buffy goes to kill the fucking guy, the crazy guy from the bus, but he just fucking attacks the shit out of her, throws her into one of the dead body drawers, throws Giles around, and then Owen shows up. He's like, no, somebody's got to help Buffy.
Yeah, at one point, they run the opposite way, and they're like, oh, Buffy, she'll be fine, and they run away from her. And I'm like, Owen, what are you doing at that point?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know that she's a slayer. You just think you just left this girl alone with... And they don't even know... He doesn't even know that Giles was there, because they don't want him to see Giles, because it's more confusing to be like, why is this librarian still here?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, turn back around. Like,
dude, Owen must think that Xander and Willow are like the coldest friends anyone could ever. Like, yes, Buffy, she'll be fine. Let's go.
Fine, keep running. And then eventually he does go back, which he earned a little bit of respect for me on that point for going back.
He did.
Yeah. And Buffy's really, every fight scene I've noticed is Buffy getting thrown across the room.
Yep.
Like, and it's hilarious every time. Like, she gets picked up, thrown, hit her head, falls over a table. It's wonderful stunt work.
Yeah, this episode also includes some of Buffy's famous gymnastics for no reason.
Yeah.
She's on a table and does like a cartwheel off of the table and like doesn't kick him with the cartwheel. There's no purpose. It's just for transportation only.
Yeah.
And then she lands on her feet and starts punching him. And then she gets thrown. Then Owen shows up and he's like, get off her. Punches the vampire. Vampire picks him up, chucks him. He gets up and then the vampire like knocks him out, gives him a concussion, it seems like.
Yeah, it like picked him up and hit him with the door.
To the dead body drawer.
Yeah, to the dead body drawer. And then I was just like, okay, so he's been knocked out. Buffy gets up and she is losing her mind thinking that this guy killed her date. Yeah. Did she say boyfriend or did she say date?
She said date, but what happened was when the guy hits Owen with the door, he says, dead.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, he hits him with the door and goes, dead.
So that vampire has no concept of how killing people works. Because I had no worries that he was dead when he hit him with the door.
I didn't either. I don't know if he was like finishing a quote or something, but he literally hits him with the door and says, dead. And then Buffy's like, you killed my dad! And starts whooping his ass, dude.
Yeah. Punch, kick, punch. And then there's like off screen and they see him getting up, like the date's not dead. And Xander is about to say something.
Yeah.
And then
no. Willow's about to say something.
And then
Xander's like, she's a little busy right now.
Yeah, he's like, no. Let her use this anger. Because otherwise she can't kill a vampire. Unless she's defending her date. And who gets thrown? Does she get thrown and she hits the thing that turns on the crematorium fire?
No, that was Giles.
No, Giles. Okay.
Giles got thrown into the button
he
that lights the fire.
He gets thrown a lot too.
Yeah, he does. And he doesn't even have like superhuman strength or anything. He's just like an older guy.
And I'm like, oh, these vampires could just bite you. Nope, they're going to throw you around because you're the lead character.
Yeah. So then throughout this fight, somehow the crazy guy from the bus, he jumps or Buffy kicks him into is it called a crematorium?
I don't know exactly what that
is. The place
I'm calling it dead body drawers. I don't know what it is.
She gets kicked into the place where you get cremated.
And I don't think it looks like, I think it looks more like I don't know. I don't know exactly what it looks like.
I mean, that one looked like a pizza oven.
with the ramp end. When she throws him into that, it's the funniest staging of that shot. Because he kind of like jumps and she's behind him doing like the arm movement, but they never touch.
Yeah.
It's like she threw him in there, but she doesn't touch him at all.
Yeah. 90s action scenes in TV.
Does Giles close the door?
Yeah, Giles closes it.
Okay, so many questions for Owen. What does he think just happened?
No idea.
Like, does he think that was a... Oh, he doesn't... Oh, he has a great line. So he doesn't think it's a vampire for this line alone. When he's fighting him, before he hits him with like an urn or something and knocks him out, knocks a vampire out, he goes and helps Buffy up and he's like, oh my God, he tried to bite me, that sissy.
Yeah.
He calls him a sissy for trying to bite him. And it's just like, oh man.
Well, I also was like, they're going to get away with this because he got hit in the head and he's like, what happened? Who was that guy? It's like, oh, he was just a regular guy that we just burned alive. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah. We scared him off, I think they said.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, he's like, I was conscious when I saw a dead body come to life and chase us, screaming pork and beans.
Yeah.
But like that did happen, right?
Yeah. But so yeah, that's how they get rid of that fucking crazy guy from the bus. And then the next day at school, Buffy's talking to Xander and she's like, oh man, I fucking blew it with Owen. He's definitely not going to want to go out with me again. And then I think this is I think I was wrong earlier. I think this is when Xander says the thing like, you should just go out with a guy that knows your secret already, like me. And she's like, nah, you're a fucking Nobody.
No, I think that happened in the hallway because he's like, you can have every. He's like, you can't date anyone you want because at the end she's not with. Is she with Xander at the end?
She is with Xander.
Okay, I just remembered Giles
because I remember them walking down the stairs, and I'm pretty sure this is where he says, like, you should just go out with a guy that already knows your secret. But then this is when Owen shows up, and he's like, hey, last night was pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he's like, you want to make tonight pretty crazy too? I've never felt more alive than almost dying. You want to go to a bar and pick a fight with somebody and just maybe get our asses kicked? And
walk down a dark alley at 3 a.m.? Like,
yeah.
All right, guy.
Yeah, then Buffy's like, ooh, maybe I don't want to go out with this guy. But not for the reasons that she should.
Yeah.
She's doing the whole, like, with great power comes great responsibility. I don't want the people that I love to be hurt. But she should be more concerned about him wanting to see dead bodies, never feeling more alive than almost when he died, wanting to pick fights in bars and then walk down dark alleys.
Yeah, this episode, this ending, they try to throw all of them in at the end. Because he says that, and she's like, oh, you want to go out with me because of the danger. Yeah. And she's like, oh, you don't like me for me. That's kind of one of the first setups. But then when she's talking to Giles, she's talking about, I don't want to get him hurt if he does come out with me. Yeah. But I'm like, you don't really care about, I mean, that is something for sure. But that didn't stop you before when you knew the Hell Beasts were coming. Yeah. I think more of it is that he doesn't, one, you shouldn't like this person at all. Two, he's only in it because you offer him this like dangerous thing. And what Buffy wants is a normal high school dating relationship. Like she doesn't want to be like, oh, all the fighting. She wants to be like, hey, I just sat down, had some pizza with it and soda with the guy, and it was fun. Like that's what she wants. And this guy wants her dark side.
He wants the danger. He wants the action. Yeah. He's a bad boy.
She doesn't even want the action. She's tired of killing vampires.
Yeah. So then Giles comes to comfort Buffy and be like, yeah, you know, the life of a slayer, it's tough. I never really had a choice when it came to being a watcher. My dad sat me down when I was 10 and he told me he was a watcher and his mom before him was a watcher and I'm going to be a watcher. And I was like, no, I want to be a fighter pilot or a guy that works at a grocery store. And he was like, nope, you're going to be a watcher. And so they bond over how their social lives suck. And then we cut to the master who's like, oh, you thought that was the Anointed One, but it's actually the little kid from the bus. Roll credits.
I thought that was a great reveal because I was going to give this show a lot of credit for having that kid be killed. Like I was like, they going to kill a kid in this show? Yeah. Like when I saw that bus, I was like, no way. And I was like, wow, is that 5 killed?
Well, I feel like...
Did they steal him? I guess they stole... because I was wondering where the other 2 vampires went that were outside chasing him. Because when they're like, oh, I'm going to walk home after Owen gets knocked out, he's like, I'm just going to walk home. And Xander and Willow walk him home. I was like, you know there's 2 more vampires outside.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh, no. Like, I was like, they tried to go outside and the vampires were there. So I was like, oh. So how are you guys going to handle that? Or no, you guys are good? Cool. But now my thought is those vampires snuck in and stole that kid's body and took him.
And woke him back up? He's alive again?
It has to be because the news report said 5 dead.
That is true.
And there was exactly 5 people in that bus. So
see, I knew that the crazy guy wasn't going to be the Anointed One because it was just too obvious.
I thought he would just because obvious is... I mean, that last episode, we knew the teacher was a praying mantis from, like, the jump, so...
What I thought was going to happen was, like, that crazy guy was going to be spouting all his nonsense on the bus. Mm-hmm. And then the bus driver or somebody, or, like, the older, like, black lady that was on the bus, I thought that one of them was going to turn around and be the vampire and just, like, kill him. Mm-hmm. But I did not expect the kid. So they got me.
No, I did not expect the kid. I was like, wow, they killed a kid on this. This is dark for for a show like this that won't show beheadings or anything. But they'll show an off-screen kid death. But no, like him being the Anointed, now we have like a plot it's moving. Now the Master's not so dumb. You know? He at least has like, he is a threat. So.
Yeah.
And Buffy having to kill a vampire kid is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. They're going to age him up.
He's like, well, he'll talk like he's a 70-year-old man.
Yeah. So that is the episode. That is our thoughts on Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. Do you have anything else to say about this episode, Vance?
No, not really. I feel like this was a solid episode.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Xander's not too annoying. Cordelia's like at her perfect level that she's going to be. Willow doesn't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
I do think they could have played up the Willow pretending to date Xander thing where they had to kiss or something. Mm-hmm. You know, they could have just forced one of those in there.
Yeah, and then like when Buffy and Owen look away, Xander's like, puh, puh, puh. And then Willow's like, oh.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they could have just done a little more with that, trying to hide it from him and keeping it secret. But like, he just straight up sees a vampire and just doesn't realize it's a vampire, doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, things at this school, man.
Everybody at the school has seen things.
Yep. She should just come out with it at this point and just be like, guys, you all saw it. There's vampires.
Yeah, there was a point where Giles was like, you know, if your secret gets out about you being a slayer, it could really endanger a lot of people. And I'm like, wait, you mean when she did cartwheel flips in the middle of the bronze that one time in front of everyone and killed somebody with a pool stick?
Yeah.
Like, what more can she do?
Yeah. I mean, she should just tell it. She doesn't need to say that she's a slayer, but she could just be like, there's vampires. And remember 2 weeks ago at the bronze, remember the beheading? There's demons and vampires here. We all need to band together and fight. Yeah, or everybody move.
Remember that lady whose hands caught on fire? Yeah, that was because this one girl's mom's a witch.
Yeah.
Like, she can verify it.
She's trapped in the trophy case.
Yeah.
Here's undeniable proof. She brings out the trophy and it's like, woo, woo.
Hey, Cordelia, remember that day you went blind?
Yeah.
Maybe, and I saved your life? Maybe stop being a bitch about things. Cordelia bounced back from that blindness like it was nothing.
Oh, yeah. She lost 0.7 ounces, so she's good. She's feeling good.
Oh, my God. Seeing beheaded people and being blind. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the next episode is titled The Pack. What do you think that means?
Werewolves.
You think werewolves are next?
Done. Yep.
Book it.
Yep. That prediction nailed it down.
Werewolves, book it.
It's The Pack, like P-A-C-K or P-A-C-T?
K.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say werewolves. Also, I've noticed this episode when the theme song starts, it's like a werewolf howl.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if next episode is about werewolves.
Yeah.
Probably the most obvious thing. Why should it not be about werewolves at all?
No, it's like
definitely.
It's a killer pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Xander takes up smoking. Xander, no.
Yeah. There's like a misdirect where you see one wolf and then it's like, and then it's Xander smoking cigarettes. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Adios.
Seltzer Kings
Podcasts.